this is massive breaking news. A Milwaukee County judge was arrested by Kash Patel's FBI. And she was arrested by Kash Patel's FBI because, according to them, she helped one of the people that she was adjudicating over, that allegedly she helped them. Well, that's not actually what happened. Instead, it looks like she was protecting the integrity of her Milwaukee County court, and that ICE has been trying and has run roughshod over this court and arrested people, not arrested, because arrest sort of implies that there's going to be some sort of due process. No, is disappearing people without papers, undocumented people who are appearing in court to actually see due process, whether or not it's around immigration, but it's specifically around misdemeanors and any kind of charges. ICE has shown up and is disappearing them. And so this judge was like, yeah, you're not going to do that. Okay. And she was arrested over it. So that's what happened. Let's go into the exact details because it's really important. This is going to get laundered a million different ways from Wednesday, and it already has. But let's just look at the details of what happened. Who is this man that allegedly this judge helped out, right? What was the help that she provided? So, and by the way, before we jump into this article, Kash Patel, who has since deleted the tweet, but head of the FBI, tweeted just now, the FBI arrested Judge Hannah Dugan out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, on charges of obstruction after evidence of Judge Dugan obstructing an immigration arrest operation last week. We believe Judge Dugan intentionally misdirected federal agents away from the subject to be arrested in her courthouse, Eduardo Flores Ruiz, allowing the subject, an illegal alien, to evade arrest. Thankfully, our agents chased down the perp on foot, and he's been in custody since. But the judge's obstruction created increased danger to the public. We will have more to share soon. Excellent work, FBI Milwaukee. Now, I don't know if anyone from any law enforcement agency or anyone in the National Guard or the military might be listening to the sound of my voice, but if you are, disobey. It is okay for you to disobey, and you should. What is happening is absolutely illegal. The arresting of judges in their own court is illegal. And in fact, should this judge have been found to have done something wrong, and we'll talk about the details in 1 second, there are processes, judicial processes. There is an oversight. You basically file like a case, a complaint against this judge. Then there is a review of that judge. But in no world do FBI agents arrest the judge. That's not what happens if there seems to be some sort of, a malpractice with a judge. So that just FYI, like there's actual processes for how this should happen and how it should not happen if there was even anything that was done that was out of line. But here we go. Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. ICE officials have arrested and detained a Mexican immigrant accused of misdemeanor battery after he appeared before Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Hannah Dugan on April 18th. Eduardo Flores Ruiz, 30, is listed as being in ICE custody at Dodge Detention Facility in Juneau, according to federal online detainee locator systems. State records show Flores Ruiz, a native of Mexico, appeared before Dugan for a pre-trial conference early on April 18th on 3 misdemeanor counts of battery. The FBI is now looking into whether Dugan tried to help an undocumented immigrant avoid arrest after that person appeared in her courtroom last week. Officials have not yet identified the defendant, but Flores Ruiz appears to match the description. It's not clear what his legal status is. So number one, we actually don't fully know what his status is. To be more explicit, we don't know if he has an order to not be removed from this country, if he has an open asylum claim, if he is, I don't know, maybe he's a green card holder, if he's married to a citizen, all of these things we don't know, or if he's undocumented, which again, you have a right to exist and live your life, even if you don't have papers. Like, I refuse to say that this person should be disappeared by the FBI. Why? because that is the way that our immigration system in this country works, and that is the way our judicial system in this country works. So let's talk about what those misdemeanors were and why actually Judge Dugan was trying to get real accountability for someone who maybe did something wrong. But what was it? Dugan declined to discuss the investigation. She also wouldn't say if she's hired an attorney. She said she couldn't answer additional questions because she was headed into a judge's meeting. ICE officials referred any questions about Flores Ruiz's arrest to the FBI. A spokeswoman for the FBI's Milwaukee office declined to comment further and referred the Journal-Sentinel to its previous statement. Okay, so we don't got nothing. In emails to judges, Chief Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Carl Ashley said ICE agents came to the Milwaukee County Courthouse on April 18th with an arrest warrant. But his note made no mention of Dugan, the defendant's name, or any federal investigation into her contact. According to Ashley's April 18th email, ICE agents showed up to the courthouse in the morning and identified themselves to security. They then went to the 6th floor where Dugan's courtroom is located. They were asked whether they had a warrant, and the agents presented the warrant, as well as their identification, Ashley's email says. They were asked to go to the chief judge's office. They complied. They presented a warrant, which we copied. Ashley said the ICE agents were asked to wait until the court hearing had concluded. All of the agents' actions, he said, were, quote, consistent with our draft policies, but we're still in the process of conferring on the draft. But Dugan responded to the email saying that a, quote, warrant was not presented in the hallway on the 6th floor. Sources say, so the spokesperson for the FBI is saying something different than the judge is saying. The judge is saying there wasn't a warrant. Sources say Dugan didn't hide the defendant and his attorney in a jury deliberation room, as other media have said. So other media outlets are like, this judge hid an illegal. No, that's not what happened. Rather, sources say, when ICE officials left to talk with the chief judge on the same floor, Dugan took the pair to a side door in the courtroom, directed them down a private hallway and into the public area on the 6th floor. Last week's arrest marked at least the third time in months that federal immigration agents have come to the courthouse with arrest warrants. In March and early April, 2 people were arrested by ICE officials in the hallways of the courthouse. What does that mean? It means this judge was trying to adjudicate not immigration status, but misdemeanors, trying to get justice. What if there was a victim involved? What if there needed to be accountability? She was trying, what if this person, whatever, all of the cases surrounding it, she's trying to get adequate justice if the charges that are brought bear out. Right? These people, and we'll talk about exactly what happened. Because when you read misdemeanor, you're like, oh, wow. Well, misdemeanor can also be blocking traffic. Okay. So she's the presiding judge in this courtroom, and ICE agents are basically, you can't actually do justice here. You can't do due process. The defendants, they're not going to have anything. The lawyers, it doesn't matter, because we're just going to disappear these people. We're disappearing them. We don't care about their immigration status. We may or may not have a warrant. We're just going to run roughshod over your whole shit right here. Following the earlier arrests in the courthouse, county officials and stakeholders expressed concerns about the impact of ICE's presence on immigrants accessing the justice system and other services at the courthouse. Quote, the last thing we want to do is interfere with legal process or sow doubt in those summoned to the courthouse about whether or not they will receive fair, impartial justice, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley said at the time. Records show that Dugan, who handles misdemeanor cases, had 25 cases on the morning of April 18th. Flores Ruiz's was set for 8:30. He does not appear to have had any other state or federal criminal offenses for charges. Okay, so what was it? According to the criminal complaint, Flores Ruiz is charged with 3 counts of misdemeanor battery. The charges included modifiers for domestic violence that could subject him to additional punishment if he's convicted. The case stems from a fight on March 12th between 2 roommates at a home on the 3900 block of West Villette Street. No one answered the door when the Journal-Sentinel visited his residences on April 23rd. The criminal complaint said a fight occurred after Flores Ruiz was accused of playing music too loudly in the home. The complaint alleges Flores Ruiz punched another person 30 times and then struck a woman who tried to break up the fight. It's unclear how long Flores Ruiz may have lived at the West Side residence. One of the victims told police on the night of the fight that Flores Ruiz was just a friend that was staying the night. Police went back to the residence the next day. Both victims revised their statement, saying he actually lives there and had been living there for the past year. Okay. Court records show that he was placed on an order to have no contact with the victims and a witness in the case. He appeared in Dugan's courtroom on April 18th for a pretrial conference where defendant and their lawyer met with a prosecutor to work out an agreement to resolve the case, potentially avoiding a trial. He was represented by a public defender at the hearing. The Wisconsin State Public Defender's Office declined to comment when contacted on April 23rd. In a statement, State Representative Ryan Clancy praised Dugan for her actions, saying she used her position, quote, to protect someone from an agency that has repeatedly, flagrantly abused its own power. So the fact that this Representative Ryan Clancy is sticking up for this judge is excellent. Clancy also said, we cannot have a functional legal system if people are justifiably afraid to show up for legal proceedings, especially when ICE agents have already repeatedly grabbed people off the streets in retaliation for speech and free association without even obtaining the proper warrants. An alderman, Bob Donovan, expressed outrage, Republican, saying that Dugan may have helped an undocumented immigrant evade arrests and federal agents. All my years of Milwaukee politics and public safety issues, working with cops, district attorneys, and judges, I've never seen a more irresponsible act by an officer of the court, let alone a judge, if true. Okay, this is like, I need to, even if you believe that migrant crime, if you believe that that is a particular category that is somehow different and browner and more Latino and, you know what I mean? Like, and tastier and, it's, you know, just like a Latino lover of crime. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if you believe that there's a special subsect of migrant crime, which there is not, and obviously I'm being facetious, and undocumented people commit crimes at a far lesser rate than others, wouldn't you want there to be due process in that person's case? Or do you just want there to be no justice? Okay, so goodbye. So then they get, what are you going to go? You're going to black site them? You're going to put them in CCOT? Or are you going to deport them to a country that's not theirs? Are you going to deport them back to Mexico? What if they're a danger? That's Mexico's problem. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, meanwhile, I look at the video that I did about Bukele. It looks like a couple of the people who actually were gang members on that flight from the United States to Secot in El Salvador were actually people who Bukele wanted to shut up. They were in proceedings in this country to be held responsible for some of their crimes. And Bukele just wanted that nipped in the bud because they might talk. And part of what they might say is, oh yeah, Bukele struck deals with the gangs in order for them to vote for him and to get their communities to vote for him. So do you understand what I'm saying? We are going after people who got into a fight because of loud music, right? As if they are these like horrible, heinous, evil people, and we're intercepting any justice that they might face for said fight or any kind of, there is a defendant in this case, in order to say, no, we're just going to deport them, which, and I swear to God, how many times am I going to say this in the next however long, which necessarily makes it so much more likely that a defendant would never come forward, would never call the police, and if someone was violent, that we would never know about it. ICE are little bitches. They don't do investigations. They show up at the courthouse where there's a misdemeanor hearings going on, and they just, go after low-hanging fruit. They're going to the Home Depots. They don't care. They will literally intercept justice and then make it look like this judge was giving extra favor. No, this judge wanted to do her job in her courthouse. It's truly wild. Here's Pam Bondi somehow defending it, really looking like just dressed like it's wine o'clock somewhere. Like, look at this outfit. Look at this, this like Sky Mall ass, Temu ass outfit here.
Madam
What's
Attorney,
happened to our judiciary is beyond me.
yeah. So when the American public hears this and they think
What's happened to the judiciary is beyond me. What about the Supreme Court? Is that a compromised left-wing Supreme Court that ruled 9-0 Kilmar Abrego Garcia should be home? Is that the judiciary you're talking about?
these were once upstanding people in their communities and their professions, and they put it all on the line for this. I mean, have you dug into their motive? Like, what inspired them to carry out these acts and harbor criminals?
They're deranged is all I can think of. I cannot believe. I think some of these judges think they are beyond and above the law, and they are not. And we're sending a very strong message today. If you are harboring a fugitive, we don't care who you are. If you are helping hide one, if you are giving a TDA member guns, anyone who is illegally in this country, we will come after you and we will prosecute you.
So again, the language of terrorism, if you're harboring anybody in this country, I mean, now we're going after judges. So just be honest. Either you believe in the Constitution or you don't. And if you don't, which they don't, just say it. The Constitution sucks. Due process is BS, unless it's for someone accused of sexual assault or trafficking. In which case, gotta let it play out before we make any judgments and extradite them to the United States. Welcome, Tate brothers. It's just amazing. Like, I love that the last time we heard this much about due process, it was all these misogynists defending, abusers. Due process! And now they're like, what? What do you mean? No, we mean due process for rapists, not for, like, day laborers. Day laborers don't do. What have day laborers done? Rapists contribute to the economy. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuationroom. Do it.